few minutes getting everybody in the room ready for our beautiful ritual tonight. I'm so happy to see you. I have to tell you that I was in Denver just a few hours ago, so I'm a little jet lagged and very dirty and very tired. But I gauzed it up, as we do. We pull it together. I was telling everybody in the room just like 4 hours ago, I had my hair in a bun in yoga clothes lifting big rocks. So I am here with you now because we need to focus and do this ritual work together. But bear with me. If I seem a little tired, it's because I am. But I'm very happy. One of the things about going to the gem shows, and if you haven't, are you guys in the insider group? Did you see kind of my, okay. If you haven't joined the group, you should. It's kind of fun. One of the things about the gem shows is the vibration is like, you know what I mean? It's a whole city full of quartz. For me, that's what I think heaven must be like. I'd like to think that anyway. But you know, you have to imagine what the vibration of an entire city that is just teeming with, if you believe in crystals, and I would tell you probably 50% of the people there believe, you know what I mean? And 50% of the people there are miners. And so I talk mining with miners and I talk beliefs with believers. You can kind of split the difference that way. But it was so much fun to be there. So much fun. And there's much more to come. You won't believe what I brought back. I won't even begin to tell you because it's a big tease. But if you're not in our Gem Show Insider group, I will have Laura on my team here put the link down so you can join, because then you'll see all the videos. There's still probably 20 or 30 videos I haven't shown you yet of really exciting, fun things. And some of it's just, I mean, most of it is just me showing you things I think are cool. You know what I mean? Because there's stuff there that you won't see ever in your lifetime. Me too. So I'm a little bit like a kid in a candy store. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So tonight, our focus is Ma'at. Okay, our focus is Egypt. How many of you have heard about Ma'at before tonight? Before I started talking to you about it, I'm really happy. Most people in the room know who she or knew who she was. I'm curious about you guys online too. If anybody's new to Ma'at, don't worry. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to enjoy the meditation tonight. I'm going to show you a book. Okay, this is my favorite book on Egypt. I think you know I used to be a professor, so I collect books. I know books are very 1991 and nobody likes books anymore, whatever. I really love books. I love like holding books in my hand. I like the way the pages smell. I like to write on books. I like to dog ear pages. I like books. I'm trying to get my kids to like books. They don't like books, and so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. They like iPads and iBooks or whatever. Okay, if you want to learn about Egypt and if you're interested in shamanism, this is the book. And I'm not telling you that for any benefit of myself. I'm telling you that because I love this book so much. It's in my top 10 books of all time. So it's called Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt by Nikki Scully and Linda Starr Wolf. And one of the things, I'm a very visual person, and so I'm going to show you guys online, and I'll pass this around in the room. I like to see art of the goddesses. Do you like to see it? Like how people represent these divine feminine archetypes, because they're so different. I mean, I'm named after the goddess of wisdom in the Greek pantheon. And how many different Athenas are there? They're not the most attractive women. I'll have to tell you, growing up when I was young and I would go to bars and things, every man in the bar would say, are you Aphrodite, the goddess of love? And I was always like, I'm Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. And I will kick your butt intellectually and physically. Would you like to have a drink? And I'm like, oh. So let's look at Ma'at for a second. This is Ma'at in the artist rendering. And I love it because, do you see what she's holding? By the way, there's a wing and a heart. Okay? Wings and feathers are very sacred to Ma'at because all birds are sacred to Ma'at. That is her totem creature. Every goddess has a totem animal or more than one. But one of the things that we're working with tonight is heart energy. And very few sources, I've read extensively about Ma'at, some of you may have too. Most people focus on truth and justice and law and order, and they get very technical with Ma'at. But one of the things that Ma'at does is she asks you to look at things as they are and to completely and fully accept yourself on all levels. And I was telling people in the room before I got you guys live on the computer, I'm going to pass this around if that's okay. I was telling people in the room, and we'll definitely talk about Egypt tonight, right? I was telling everybody in the room that one of the things, this is a full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse, yeah? What do eclipses do? Anybody know? They invert and they dig up. I referred to tonight's lunar activity as a shit show before you guys joined us online. It is difficult. You know, Pisces is a sign that is very comfortable having the moon in that position. This is a water, sign. So the moon is very happy sitting in Pisces. There's nothing wrong there. The challenge is when you have the eclipse. Eclipses, I always say this is a warning for everybody. If you are not being honest with somebody in your life, if you're keeping a secret, and I'm not judgmental, so I'm not saying that it's wrong to keep a secret. I'm just telling you, eclipses have this really fun way of telling your secrets. Have you noticed that? They just put things on a plate and sort of show. So I'm a person who doesn't keep secrets in my life. I don't like to keep secrets. Part of it is it causes me anxiety. So I'm a real fan of telling people the truth in relationships. But if you're keeping a secret, just know this is a scary time for you. And it's astrological, it's lunar. It's not an issue of ethics or right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? So just notice now, you may want to just step more deeply into your truth. Ma'at is the goddess who's going to represent that. So this could be an invitation for you to step more deeply into your truth, because what the eclipse really loves is when you get out ahead of it. Okay? Like if it was going to give you away and you make the choice to be truthful, eclipses seem to honor that energy. Do you know what I mean? There's something really beautiful about that. Okay. So this is a difficult time. Let me read to you from Mystic Mama. I'm pulling up my computer, and what I was telling the group is I've never read to you Mystic Mama's lunar update before, but it's so spot on for today that I just think you need to hear it. Okay. Tonight, what lies in the shadow or beneath the surface can be set free. Out of the wound emerges the teacher, your wisdom and your wholeness. This Pisces full moon eclipse is here to dissolve what holds you apart from spirit and your true self. I'm going to just skip a little bit. Now is the time to let go, forgive, and surrender. Open your root chakra at the base of your spine and send down thick roots to the core of Mother Earth to remember who you are. This eclipse is going to make you feel like you don't know who you are for a minute. Does that resonate with anybody in the room? Have you had that in the last couple of days? Like where you acted out of character for a minute? Okay, but it's happening to everybody. You're not alone. And that's why I love these events, because I can tell you you're not crazy. Like, this is what's happening to all of us right now. Okay, there was one part I wanted to read to you that's really important. Where did it go for a minute? Oh, here it is. The moon, this is the difficult part. The lunar eclipse in Pisces is an emotional high tide. It makes me think of being on a surfboard, scudding across a beast of a wave as the crest begins to fold, and you're wondering whether you're going to stay upright or be flung head over heels by the force of the water. The moon is in a tight conjunction to Chiron, which means we are very sensitive to being hurt. In Pisces, we are wide open with no defenses, especially as the moon squares warrior Mars. So often we try to tough it out, brave it, stiff upper lip it, until our mouths are drawn so tight we can't speak, and our bodies are so rigid with tension that we feel like we're going to snap. Do you feel it? Going to snap. But this watery moon says we have to go with the flow, wherever the flow goes, because we can't avoid what's hurting us. Chiron is the one who wounds and the one who heals the wound. The wound itself is the way to healing for you, like cutting open an infected sore until it bleeds clear, knowing that sometimes the path to healing has to begin with a very painful cut. And your part is to surrender, to accept that healing is needed and necessary, to put trust in the universe. Keep in mind, wide oppositions to both retrograde Mercury and Jupiter suggest that it may be hard to see the benefits and difficult to think about or articulate right now. So you may be seeing all this happen in your life and thinking, I don't see any upside to this, right? There is something sacred about this very painful process. The gods have not abandoned you. They are carrying you. They are the giant waves beneath your feet. Chiron is the archetypal shaman who drinks intoxicating and poisonous herbs in order to see the world beyond the one we see today. And the spirit of the plant becomes an ally on the shaman's spiritual path. None of us likes pain. We seek to avoid it at all costs. But during this lunation, the challenge is to go towards it willingly, to go back to the source. We have to accept the pain to dissolve it. And it's about knowing that you are braver than you ever imagined. Did you like that? It's just like when I was reading it today, I was like, wow, that is really, like, that's what's happening right now. Okay, so you have 24 hours to do a lot of work. And what I'm going to recommend, because I'm going to take you into this meditation with Ma'at tonight, what I want to recommend is, and I want you to start thinking about it now. Set the intention, because again, we're heart opening tonight. What we're going to do is just pull that heart open just a little bit to say, I'm willing to be vulnerable in service of creating stability and balance and order in my heart, and seeing myself as I am, not as who I think I should be or who I'd like to be, but who I am. And guess what? Have you guys heard of shadow work? This is the season. We're entering the dark half of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. And that is the time to go within and start digging up some of your stuff. And it's difficult work to do. Cue siren. I'm going to have a little bit of wine out of my red Dixie cup. Because you know what? That's what's happening today. I had waffle fries for lunch in an airport. And I'm having wine out of a Dixie cup. It's very, very, very sophisticated today. I keep it very real. This is real life right now. Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you about shadow work before we get into the meat of what's happening tonight. You have two choices. You ready? You either do the work willingly or you do the work unwillingly. And I watch people in my life go both ways. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actively choose to do the work. I'm curious, like, what's unresolved within me? What's kind of ugly and hard to look at? And I was telling the group in the room before we joined live, I said, you know, when people come to me and they say, I am so angry, and this happens to me on a daily basis in my job. I am so angry. What do I do? I'm so angry. I just feel violent. I don't know what to do with all this anger. And I think they expect me to tell them to go meditate or hold a rock. And what I tell people is, I need you to go dig into that pain as far as you can take it safely for yourself without hurting yourself or anyone else. I need you to look that pain in the face, whether it's yelling or screaming or punching a punching bag or a pillow or whatever it is. I need you to go there. Because if you don't, what happens? And shamanically, what we know happens is that when you don't resolve that pain, it goes into your body in a place. And it may end up in your hip with some weird hip issue. It may end up in your brain. It may end up in your liver. I don't know where it'll end up for you. But the root of disease is you not being willing to go into that pocket and handle it. And you need to have a support system. That's why I always tell people, I mean, the nice thing is online, we kind of are that for each other. Even in the groups, it's like, it's okay to say, I'm kind of out of control right now. I mean, you can't go into a group and say, I'm going to harm myself or somebody else, because then I am legally and ethically and morally obligated to tell you to go get help, right? I can't have that. But if you say, I'm kind of out of control and I want to work through this, can you guys mirror back to me, or can you guys hold space for me while I work through this stuff? And what's interesting, there's a men's group happening tonight in Los Angeles where I live, and they do a lot of shamanic journey work. What's really interesting to me is men, in a lot of ways, struggle with this more than women do, because they want to push that anger down. Society says it's not okay. But the warrior is angry. Aren't you warriors? I'm a warrior too. We're kind of pissed off. We have lifetimes of, battles that we lost, and shit that's happened in this life and stuff, and we're angry. And so if you don't work with that, it can be, that anger can be turned to passion. That anger can be turned to joy. That anger can be turned to art. A lot of where Sage Goddess began for me was transforming and transmuting anger and frustration and pain from childhood and other things into a usable form. What do you think alchemy is? Right? It's about like going into all that muck. And if you tell me you don't have muck, I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I love you. I don't believe you. And you know what? I actually really want to see your muck. Kind of like that. But, I think if you're going to have real intimacy in relationships, whether it's a virtual relationship with, people in our community, or a physical relationship wherever you are, if you're going to be real and have some real intimacy, you're going to have to get down and dirty into that, whatever that is. And maybe yours isn't anger. Maybe it's just sadness and grief. In the women in my family, it's grief. And if you look at the women in my family, like grandmothers and great-grandmothers, they started wearing black when they were 30 or 35 and never talked again. All of them. So I heal those generations forward by saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just stuff that grief down in a black dress and stop talking. I'm going to keep doing this work, and it's hard, and it's difficult. It makes, my husband has to work with it. My friends have to work with it, but I've created a support network. And then when they have to do their soul work, I'm somebody safe to come to. And I want you to create that in your own life too. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I took a lot of time to tell you all that because it's coming up. And part of this ritual is for you to relax and enjoy, and part of this ritual is for you to also understand the work that's before you. And Ma'at is asking you to do this work tonight. Okay, so let's talk about Ma'at for just a minute. I was telling the group before we joined live, she has a kind of an important dad. Her dad is Ra, the sun god. So she comes from a really important lineage. Ma'at is not just the goddess, she is the noun. So she is justice and order, truth and harmony. Did you know that in Ma'at, which is the law in Egypt, Egyptian law, and by the way, it's difficult to trace all of this. I mean, I had to do a lot of research to go back and sort of pick up the history of this. Some of the laws, are you interested, like what some of the laws are? Not things that we think of as like what a typical law would be. One of the laws, and they don't talk so much about the laws, but they transform them into I statements of commitments that you make. And if you break these commitments, what they say is that violence comes and chaos comes, okay? One of the commitments is, I will make no one to weep. That's a law. Isn't that a cool law? Are you making people cry in your life by being a little bit of a jerk or something? Probably shouldn't do that. Here's another law. I have slandered no one. Can't talk badly about people. And here's my favorite. Are you ready? I have never stopped the flow of water. That's the law. I have never stopped the flow of water. Think about this in your own life, because I'm telling you, in Egypt, everything's a metaphor, right? If you go back in Egyptian history, they're not talking literally. I mean, they are. Water is very important. And you remember our early work from the year talking about water and the flow of water and the flooding of the Nile and all those things. But I'm also talking about flow of abundance and flow of health. Like, are you stopping the flow? You got to think about that for your life. Okay, so what Ma'at does in the creation myth in the Egyptian pantheon, there was chaos. Think about every creation myth. The Judeo-Christian creation myth, out of darkness came light, right? Every creation myth begins with some sort of chaos. Ma'at was the one who created order out of that chaos. Her name means that which is straight. Kind of interesting, right? Like straight line, not straight other meanings. And she is the counterpart of Thoth, or Thoth, depending on how you pronounce. My favorite story about Thoth, by the way, it's a short story. I was reading a book about sacred geometry and the flower of life. There's a whole section on Thoth. The women who are in my sabbatical class know this story. So it's a big book and has a huge picture of Thoth in it. And so my daughter's kind of looking over my shoulder and she's reading, but she can't read. This was a couple of years ago. She wasn't able to read. She points to the picture. She goes, I know him. I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh. I mean, Thoth is like kind of a strange looking half bird, right? Like, you know him? That's great. He's got big shoulders and a big beak, right? I'm thinking, like, did you see somebody at Halloween dressed up? I don't know what that is. And she said, yeah, when I was in your belly, when you were pregnant with me, I told him all my secrets. My daughter told me that. And she said, do you know that he made words? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And I'm scanning down the page and I'm thinking, what is she seeing? She's not, is she trying to read? And the next page, literally the first sentence of the next page was, Thoth created language. He invented the papyrus. And he was the first, he's the scribe. You know what I mean? That's what he does. Thoth or Thoth throughout history has always kept the scribe. He is the father and the founder of the Akashic records, which are the records of everything that's ever happened or ever will happen. So my daughter looks and goes, he made words. He made that. My favorite story about that. Okay, so in Egyptian mythology, your heart is your soul. And when you die, when anyone died in ancient Egypt, their heart was taken out and measured. And it was believed that if your heart was equal to the weight of a feather, Ma'at's feather, and this is my totem bird. Her totem feather was ostrich or hawk. But it was believed that if your heart was equal to the weight of a feather, that you would have a good afterlife. If your heart was heavier than the feather, it meant that you blocked the flow of water and made people cry. And then you're going to go to a bad place. That's sort of the honey badger version of what was happening. But you get the thing. Okay, so hopefully that's a helpful background for you as we start to think about, do you see the connections though? Between the full moon in Pisces and this lunar eclipse and Ma'at, and wanting to look at how we create balance and order, you know what I mean? And Ma'at, one of her mantras is, as it is. Things as they are, not as you wish them to be. That doesn't mean you don't set intentions. It does mean you can't go through your life looking at things other than how they are. You have to appreciate what you have, and you have to appreciate where you are, and you have to appreciate people for what they can give you. If you don't, you end up making mistakes in your relationship that are sometimes very difficult to undo. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's smudge. We just talked about a lot of heavy things. I would love to have taken 6 hours to tell you what I just told you. That was very difficult to communicate to you in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I really appreciate that. Elizabeth said she would have listened, so I take that as a huge compliment. Okay, I'm sitting next to a fan because it's warm in here, so I'm going to quickly just smudge all my tools. Always smudge, especially at the full moon. I've smudged like 8 times today. There were even crazy people on the plane. I'm just telling you, some crazies. Okay. Do not charge your stones right now. You can. I mean, you can do whatever you'd like to do. My guidance is not to charge stones at an eclipse, yeah? Think of eclipses as reversed tarot cards. You know how in the tarot, when you read a reversed card, it's sort of like the meanings become confused, yeah? When you read a reversed card. It's the same thing with eclipsed energy. So, and especially because there's so much energy right now churning about trying to dig up what you're not willing to look at. Because Pisces, what do Pisces do? Pisces want to look at all the things. My daughter's a Pisces. I had 2 ex-boyfriends who were Pisces. They wanted to do all that. I'm a Leo going, you know what? Let's talk about something else. Or light something on fire. Or drink wine out of a Dixie cup. And meanwhile, the Pisces is like, no, I want to talk about my feelings and your feelings and bad feelings and whatever feelings. I want to dig it up. What was that? I want to go big or go home is what I'm saying. Yes. Okay. I'm going to have very little wine and a little bit of Coca-Cola, which is in this other one. Okay. All right. So we're going to begin in just a minute here. And what I want to ask you to do is I really want you to bring your entire attention. Keep in mind, I only have you for another 35 minutes. And then everything else in your life that you're thinking about that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about will still be there. Let it go. Let today go. Let this week go. Let it go. You can't do a bigger favor for anybody, including yourself, than let it go. So take a nice deep breath. Really fill your diaphragm. Nice long exhale. Doesn't that feel good? So good. Sometimes you just need to breathe. Let's do it one more time. And exhale. Let it go. It's so good. Okay, and if you're, by the way, if your moon sign's Pisces or your rising sign is Pisces, you're not getting off the hook. So you don't have to have sun sign Pisces to be feeling what's happening tonight. I want you to bring your entire attention to your heart space right now. You can put your hand on your heart or you don't have to. You can just visualize. Bring your entire attention to your heart. We put a beautiful meme on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it. And it said something. It was a Paulo Coelho quote. And it said something to the effect of, you know, you have to pay attention to your heart. You need to listen to what your heart's telling you. I want you to take just a moment to really think about what it would mean for you to completely love yourself as you are in this moment right now. Everything about you. Loving your anger, loving your stress, loving your tears, loving your exhaustion, loving your happiness, loving your body, every part of your body, loving your weaknesses and your challenges, loving your past and all of your mistakes. Who hasn't made them? And sending that energy really into your body. Let me tell you, you want to talk about healing? You can take all the medication you want. The best thing you can do to heal yourself is to completely tell yourself, I see you, I love you as you are. And everything is okay. And stay in that place while I open our circle for us together tonight. So I want you to place your hands on your knees with your palms facing up. Loving your past. John online said, loving my past. Loving your past. Loving your future, because guess what? You're going to make more mistakes. Your biggest mistakes might be ahead of you. I'm just, I mean, you gotta laugh sometimes. We all think like, oh, my past, but I'm so much smarter now. It's like, really? I'm gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna make some mistakes. I know. Well, John, I see you. I see you and what you're saying. I'm holding space for that. Okay, so hands on your knees with your palms facing up. And I want you to imagine that out of your beautiful left hand that you love so much extends a white beam of light about 4 to 6 inches in diameter. And you can give that a temperature, make it like a nice warm beam of light. Imagine sending that beam of light out of your left hand. Energy is very real, and the more you can visualize it, the more you'll feel it. Maybe your hand is getting warm. I want you to extend that beam of light out of your left hand. Imagine that there is a person seated next to you in the circle, and let it enter their right hand. And imagine that energy just moving through their system, up to their shoulder, through their 7 chakras, then out of their left hand and into the right hand of the person seated next to them. And so that energy just makes its way all the way around the circle. And people, for these full moon journal or rituals, as I always tell you, join us from around the world. So imagine just sending all of that energy all the way around the circle. Letting it wind and wind and wind around the circle. And as it does, really think about each person who is in the circle together, sending that energy. And as you send that energy around, send love, send appreciation, send forgiveness, send kindness. You have to maintain that vibration. It doesn't matter what you're receiving. You have to continue to send. Because what you send is what you experience. You can't be responsible for what you receive. But what you send, you are responsible for. So sending all those high vibration emotions, letting that circle of light come back to you in your right hand. And then let it come up through your arm, over your shoulder. Let it wash through your chakras. And you should feel your hands getting warm and then letting that light just bathe you in a deep sense of peace and appreciation and connectedness. And with that, our beautiful circle is open. Okay, so I'm going to read our 4-directional invocation as I always do. So just keep your eyes closed and enjoy. Gatekeepers and guardians of the 4 sacred directions, thank you for turning your gaze toward us this evening. We honor your sacred presence. We thank you for your presence. You are welcome here. And I call first to the direction of east, element of air. This is for you. If you're a Libra, Aquarius, or Gemini, you are the ones who breathe new life into being. We need you, air signs, so much. We're so grateful for you. Air, we call upon you tonight to move us and guide us toward the golden dawn of new possibility, where our souls take flight and our wings expand, and every cell of our bodies aligns with infinite potential. Here we manifest our soul's true calling. Eagle, spirit totem of the East, teach us to soar upon your mighty wings. Here in the East, we rise to meet a greater purpose, a louder calling, and a deeper understanding, and we ascend to those heights without fear. We know that our wings are strong, the air is smooth, our flight is assured, our movements are guided, and we do not fly alone. Winds of the East, air elementals, guardian spirits, and all who reside in this quadrant. Here are our prayers for safe new beginnings tonight. And next I call to the direction of south. This is element of fire, and this is you, if you're a fantastic Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Fire, we ask that you move us and guide us toward the release of anything we no longer need, allowing us to burn clean through the old beliefs, fears, hesitations, anxieties, and challenges. Reveal to us a new face of the future, one in which we find and embrace our full power. Coyote, spirit totem of the south, teach us to move with agility and speed, acknowledging the playful aspects of our lives. Here in the south, we let everything go. We transmute, we clean it, we clear it away. Nothing is ours forever, but the clarity that comes from our destruction is the greatest gift we can be given once we let the fear go. What is burned away was never yours to have in the first place. Great fires of the south, fire elementals, guardian spirits, and all who reside in this quadrant, hear our prayer for clearing and help us receive the new and shed the old with grace tonight. Next, I call to the direction of west. This is element of water. This is you if you're Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. This is certainly our great moon tonight. Water, we ask that you move us, flow with us toward a complete reconnection with all of our emotions. The love, the rage, the peace, the sadness, the anger, the passion, the fury. Teach us to allow all things, resisting nothing, flowing downstream, much like your fish and your sea creatures. Water, we ask that you show us the way. Here in the West, we are in a state of non-resistance to growth, and all that we released in the South washes away with your waves and tides, and we watch it all flow away from us, knowing that in its place our greatest dreams and joys are already coming to us, and hope rests in your deepest waters. Waves of the South, water elementals, guardian spirits, and all who reside in this quadrant, hear our prayer for emotional healing tonight. Help us allow what must come and what must go with no resistance that's based in fear. Last but never least, I call to the direction of north. This is element of earth. This is you, if you are a very strong Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. Dear earth, you ground us, you catch us in your roots, embracing us in your tree limbs, and you nurture us in your mossy womb. You connect us with all that has ever been, and here, where we are, where you are, we will all one day return. Bone to bone, dust to dust, you await our return. Here in the north, we know we are safe, loved, held, nurtured. We're part of a much larger matrix of energy that surpasses all mortal understanding. We are part of your great web, Gaia, and we surrender to the path you carve for us through the dark of your forests. Let us take rest in your sanctuary, for in the north, all knowledge of all time is ours to find. Father trees of the north, earth elementals, guardian spirits, and all who reside in this quadrant, help us rest more deeply and trust in our own safety, security, and wisdom. Remind us how tiny we are, how vast you are, and how many blessings exist in the space between us. My wish for you tonight, as it always is the delicate and very precious balance of these four elements will make itself known to you tonight and always. And so together we say, Amen, Aho, and so it is. I have to say that's my favorite of the elemental invocations. I'd love to know what yours is. I've probably written 20 of them over the years that you're going to see before too long. We're publishing my book of blessings. Probably in the next 6 months or so, it's going to have every invocation, every blessing, every prayer, all of them over the 5 years. So I'm looking forward to that. That's my favorite of the elemental invocations. Okay, so before we begin, I'm going to light my candle. If you're working with a candle, you should light it. What happens when you light a candle? Would you mind, Kim? I would really, I could just shut a fan off. It's right glowing on my candle. You invoke the element of fire, which is very important. Fire is the action. Do you know? Fire is what creates the movement in your life. You need it. If you love candlelight, that's great. You should light candles all the time, but you should light candles even if you don't love it. It activates energies. And so when you're working with a ritual candle, this is activating energies around Ma'at for all the things that we're calling in tonight. Heart healing and balance and clarity and order, all of those things. Okay, so I'm working with Ma'at perfume, if you have that, and Ma'at stones. Ma'at stones, by the way, are zebra jasper, red jasper, which, by the way, this is one of my favorite stones of all time. If you've been with me for a while, you know that. And people take it for granted because it's kind of common. Like, oh, red jasper, what's so special about red jasper? Native Americans believe this is the warrior stone. This is the stone of courage. This is the stone of strength. This will be a good companion to you in battle, whatever battle looks like for you. It looks like a whole bunch of different things for all of us, right? And then I gifted you Tiger's Eye. If you bought your set, you got a free piece of natural Tiger's Eye. Did you love this? I love natural stones. Tiger's Eye is everything. It's everything. It is Ma'at stone. So it's the stone of truth, balance, intuition, protection. If you're going through anything legal, it's the stone of right outcomes. So people come to me and like, oh, I'm involved in something and I want to make sure the right outcome happens. What's the stone? There's only one. This is it. There's no other stone for that. Sometimes there's like 8 stones that you can use for different things, not when it comes to right outcomes. So that is everything that you need to know. And then Ma'at's herbs and oils, primarily honeysuckle. There's also anise in here. And I don't remember what the third one that I used. I think I used oak moss, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, it's very good. Pat myself on the back for just a minute. It was really good. Okay, so if you have the oil, take just a moment to inhale when you work with essential oils, you're invoking the element of water. So this is creating that flow. Yeah. If you don't have ma'at, you can use oak moss, you can use cedar. You want a nice strong wood, something, a deep base. Frankincense would be a beautiful alternative if you want to work with a single note. You need something floral because there is a levity and a heart. Honeysuckle is a heart opening flower. So passion flower would be okay if you have that. Honeysuckle, rose would also be fine. And in fact, a rose frankincense blend would be really beautiful because rose is a beautiful heart opener and frankincense is going to ground you down. Frankincense is also protective too, so those would be some good alternatives for you. If you only have 2 stones to work with tonight, tiger's eye and red jasper. If you have the party bonus of zebra jasper, that's great. I'm going to be holding these 2 in meditation if you want to know what I'm working with. Are you ready? Yay! I'm also finally writing a book on aromatherapy. I'm very excited about it. Finally. Do you know why? Because there's no good ones.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since she's the goddess of the heart part, would rose quartz be appropriate?
Oh, fantastic. Especially for what we're doing tonight. You know, we're sitting in a room, by the way, with like 1,000 rose quartz generators. So we're like, got this like love vibe happening right now anyway. But the question was, could I use rose quartz since we're doing heart opening work? And the answer is you absolutely can use rose quartz. And others would, good stones for the heart, chrysoprase, fantastic. Rhodochrosite, rhodonite, those are actually cardiac healers, in addition to being just emotional healers. Rose quartz is not a cardiac healer; it is an emotional healer. If people who have heart problems, chrysoprase is the best sort of like, you know, dual purpose stone for the heart. I could literally sit here with you for the next 2 days and just talk to you about this stuff. I have to be careful not to digress, but that's a great question because rose quartz is a fantastic alternative if you don't have the other stones. Okay. So go back to that position where you had your hands on your knees with your palms facing up. And by the way, if you're new, you don't have to know anything tonight to enjoy this. Hopefully you're going to learn some fun things and enjoy the process. We're here every month at the full moon, live here in LA and then online. So just enjoy. We're just here to enjoy and learn and connect with each other. So I want you to imagine that you are traveling to Egypt tonight. And I want you to imagine that you are in the Great Nile Valley. If you've never been to Egypt, if you've never seen the Great Pyramids, I want you to imagine that you are in the most beautiful but desolate desert you can imagine. The temperature is warm on your skin. The sand is fine under your feet. And I want you to imagine the pyramids in your mind. Maybe it's a picture that you've seen. Maybe it's the actual travel to the pyramids that you've experienced in your own life if you've been blessed that way. But I want you to imagine that you were standing before these great pyramids. And I want you to feel how great the pyramids are, knowing that they're built with such intention and such mathematical precision. The entire constellation of pyramids aligns to the Pleiadian constellation in the stars. Did you know that? How they did that, right? I want you to imagine that you are there. And in the midst of the Great Pyramids, at one time, there were beautiful temples just scattered among the pyramids. These are places where priests and priestesses would hold their sacred rituals. And those temple floors were made of onyx, great columns along them as you would walk to the entrance of the temple. So I want you to imagine that you are there, huge columns greeting you as you come to the front of this temple. The floors are cold under your feet, and beautiful onyx floors, and everything is sparkling. In the great pyramids and the great temples, we know that there were pyramids, smaller pyramids of quartz everywhere. They would have them in the 4 corners of the temple floors. This shape was so sacred to our Egyptian ancestors. So I want you to imagine that you are here. And something in you has called you here to this space. Something in you has called you to come here and to connect. Maybe it's some part of your own ancient magical lineage. Maybe it's something within your soul that needs to be released and surrendered. And as you look, as you gaze into this temple, maybe there's fire lit. Just let yourself imagine and see what's happening around you. Maybe it's quiet and there's no one there. Maybe it's full of people in your mind's eye. As you turn your gaze up, you see the most beautiful woman approaching you. She's tall. She's very thin. And she has a huge headdress on the top of her head. And out of that headdress, which is created entirely of gold, and there are little woven parts of her headdress, and out of it extend huge feathers. They're almost as tall as she is. Hawk feathers and ostrich feathers, all kinds of feathers, sacred to all of her birds. I want you to imagine that she's standing before you with her arms outstretched, as if she's been expecting you all along. And now as you greet Ma'at in this meditation, I want you to make a gesture toward her, maybe just to welcome her into your field, to give thanks for her presence. And one of the things that everyone talks about with Ma'at in these visualizations is that she is such a being of light, such a creature of light, that as you come closer to her, you can no longer see her face. All you can see is light around her headdress, extending out of her hands. Every part of her is so light that now as you come closer to her, that's all you see. And as you come even closer to her, you go from being able to see her light to seeing your own reflection mirrored in her. She becomes the mirror for you. She becomes your ability to see yourself as you are, because she is the goddess of truth, because she is the goddess of order and balance. And as you come closer to her and you start to see your own self reflected, I want you to notice what it is that you see first in the mirror that she's holding up to you. What is it that you see in the mirror that Ma'at is holding up to you tonight? And as you gaze, maybe it's your heart that you're seeing. Maybe it's the love in your life, the love that you are giving or the love that you are receiving. Maybe what you see in her is your need for love. Maybe what you see reflected back to you in her is your child self. I'm sensing that for a lot of people tonight. Is there some part of the little boy in you or the little girl in you that really needs to be seen by you? Is there a desire in your life still as a 40-year-old woman or man, or a 50 or a 60 or a 30-year-old woman or man? Something that you have not, a promise maybe you haven't made good on to yourself. Maybe you see fear reflected back to you and anxiety. Could be, right? And I want you to notice that the mirroring that she's doing for you is coming from such a place of power and wisdom and compassion that it is a clean mirror. There's no projection. This is just about you being able to see yourself more clearly. And so what we're going to ask tonight is that Ma'at give you one clear vision of some place in your life where you need to develop a deeper sense of empowerment and clarity and purpose. What is it tonight, Ma'at, that each person in this circle needs to see? What is it tonight that we need to see? And it's okay. It's okay if your sadness comes up. It's okay if your anger comes up. It's okay if your confusion comes up. Let it come up and really give yourself a chance to see, to look directly at it. And now I want you to ask the question, just in your mind's eye, I want you to ask this question of Ma'at, what is it about what you're seeing that you need to know? So if you're sensing that fear is coming up and you're seeing a little child self within, what is it that you need to know about that fear tonight in order to resolve, in order to act and intervene and to improve? Knowing that you could be shifting the course of your entire destiny in a way. You could be healing right now. Generations past and back, generations forward and ahead. What is it that you need to see? And what is it you need to do? And now one of the great gifts that Ma'at would give in Egyptian mythology is that she would take one of the feathers from her headdress and she would touch the heart in you. Sort of doing it right now with my feather. And I want you to imagine that she takes one of her beautiful hawk or ostrich feathers from her headdress and moves forward to touch you right on your heart space. And so we ask tonight for her energy, for her clarity, for her order, for a clear path for you to create healing in your heart tonight. And as you receive that, as she brings her feather down to touch you, I want you to imagine just ripples of what she's able to create for you. Allow yourself to receive and imagine that rippling out from your heart, maybe to your throat. Maybe you need to speak more of your truth. From your heart, maybe to your hands. Maybe you need to be more loving or create love or create some kind of art in your life to express this wound. Maybe it's rippling out from your heart to your mind. Maybe you need to change your inner monologue and dialogue. Are you treating yourself kindly? Are you saying kind things to yourself and to other people? Maybe it needs to ripple out from your heart to your stomach. A lot of us hold our anger and our fear and resentment in our stomach and end up with lots of digestive problems. So maybe you need to take her healing tonight and let it move down to your stomach. In Ayurvedic traditions, the stomach is where everything begins, both your healing and your illness. So maybe you need to let that move down. A couple people have mentioned in the feed that they're seeing symbols. If you're receiving a symbol from her, really focus in on that and ask her for clarity. If she's giving you an infinity symbol or an ankh, what is that? Is she showing you the path to immortality and everlasting life? Is she showing you the path to creativity and abundance? What is it that she's showing you? Remember that the infinity symbol, to the question in the feed, is an 8 turned on its side. 8 is the number of money and wealth. When you turn it on its side, it becomes endless possibility for you to create abundance in your life. So what is she showing you? For some people with meditations with Ma'at, she draws with her finger. So I want you to watch and see if she creates a shape with her finger as she's showing you her feather. And I want you to imagine for the last part of our meditation, and I know we could stay here forever and just sort of linger in this place. And I really want you to take a moment before we even move on. I feel so called to say this. Really make sure you've looked in that mirror. Don't avoid it. You're here for a reason. You're seeing this for a reason. Look in that mirror. What are you becoming in your life right now that isn't true to your authentic self? And I want you to imagine, as part of what Ma'at can offer you, is the ability to be set free. So I want you to imagine, as she has touched you with her feather, I want you to imagine giving to her, handing to her, whatever that pain is for you tonight, or that anger, or that place, that wound. I want you to imagine being able to pull it out from within you and handing it over to her. She, because birds are her totem animals, can place wings on that wound and let it fly from you. She can set that free for you tonight if you're ready. You have to be ready. So just giving her the opportunity, the invitation to take whatever that is from you, set wings upon it, and just let it fly free. And really let yourself have that visual of whatever that pain is, that place, that pocket from your past, just watching it leave you so gracefully and so beautiful. One of you is talking about a white dove, seeing a white dove. And there's a question, how do you know if you're worthy? In this moment, you're worthy of everything. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of peace. Completely feel that right now. You are worthy of receiving everything that you need in your life to experience healing. It's the reason that you are alive, is the worthiness. Lots of people seeing owls. Remember that owls are all about wisdom, wisdom from other realms. Owls have the ability to see in all directions, both in darkness and in light. Owls have no limitation to their sight. They're the only creatures who have no limitation to their sight, no directional limitation, and no light limitation. So if you're seeing an owl, what does that mean? It means you have the ability to see in an unlimited way the light of possibility in your life. But you have to embrace that. You have to embrace that. And now take a moment before we close and leave this sweet space. Is there anything you want to ask her? Anything you want to gain additional clarity about tonight? Maybe it's a separate issue. Maybe it's a relationship. A lot of our wounds, remember, are from those pockets and places in those relationships that are unresolved. And I want you, if you're not holding your stones yet, I want you to take your stones in your hands. I have one in each hand. So we ask that through this meditation, and the energy, Ma'at's energy that she's presenting to us tonight, that we charge these stones with the energies of healing, healing our hearts and our minds, healing the past and the future, healing our bodies, healing our relationships, creating space for complete love, love of yourself, love of others in your life. And for some of you, that may be a real struggle, and I understand it. The more you hurt, the more you lash out and act out. And so at some point, you have to stop and reflect and receive. And so, Ma'at, we ask that you charge these stones both with the memory of this experience of being in your presence, as well as the healing energy that we have raised and created tonight. Let them become talismans and touchstones of our own healing, reminders that we are strong, we are safe, we are protected, we are held, we are loved, we are not alone, and that it's okay for us to experience all of our emotions. Nothing is unwanted. Also as reminders that we need to take responsibility in our lives for our feelings and our emotions and the way that we experience those emotions and share them with others. And so it is. So I want you to take a moment. I like to bow before I leave a meditation like this, just to give gratitude in whatever way feels right, just to say thank you to her for being present. Thank you to her for helping us navigate these choppy waters of this Pisces full moon and this lunar eclipse. And remember, try to hold on to this feeling. Give yourself this memory of this moment right now, that no matter how crazy your life gets and no matter how crazy your emotions get, and it can feel really unstable because you're human, try to remember that there is always this middle place. There's always this line that's held. And this is where meditations like this can be very helpful. Let Ma'at come in and be that center line, so that when you go up and down into the manic place, to the depressive place, whatever it is for you, that you know how to find your way back to center. And if you can learn to do that for yourself, that's huge healing. Huge healing. And so I want you to imagine now, after you've given thanks, turning now and walking back toward the opening of the temple, the place from which you came, starting to feel your feet on those onyx floors. And it's funny because I can feel that Ma'at is still behind all of us, watching us walk away. So the presence is still there. But there's a deep sense of honoring for how you showed up tonight to do this work, how difficult it might be. And it's very, very challenging, but it is the work of your lifetime. This is truly the work of your lifetime. So I want you to imagine that she's behind you as you're leaving the temple, taking these gifts of self-love, of clarity of your own vision of yourself, loving all your nasty parts. That's a gift tonight. Imagine how we could heal the planet if we taught children how to love themselves this way. Can you imagine? So for some adults, they're so angry and so far beyond, it almost becomes hopeless in a way, although I think there's always hope. But can you imagine if we taught little ones how to love themselves this way? We can do that. I have huge compassion for angry people in my life. It's funny because we even had some show up on the feed tonight. Huge compassion, because you're hurting, and hurt people rage. But there's always place for healing. There's always a way to find your way back to love, but you have to, that's a choice you make. I wish that for you though, because life can be long and happy if you can find your way to love. If you choose to sit in that rage, unfortunately it leads down a path that is not what I would wish for you for your life. Now gently bringing your attention back to the room where you are. I would love to stay in Egypt in a temple for a little while longer. Sounds so good, doesn't it? I think we all may have been there together at some point. Just wiggling your fingers and toes, being very gentle with yourself as you come back at a present time. How are you feeling? Did she show up for you? Yeah? Yeah, did you see her? So good. It's okay to be unsure, John. I'm unsure too, but very hopeful. Always unsure, very hopeful. Sit with the ambiguity, sit with the tension. Don't try to make things easy. That's not the path. Let it be difficult. Just know that you're loved. That's the gift. Imagine that too. Can you imagine telling all the angry people in your life how much you love them and you love their anger? Can you imagine? Like, gosh, I love your anger. Give it to me. Like it. With sincerity. Can you imagine? Love your anger. I love your tenderness too. Yeah. Can I see more tenderness? Yeah. So we're going to close our circle. So grateful to the guardians and the gatekeepers in the north for your grounding and your protection and your stability. Grateful to the guardians and the gatekeepers in the west for helping us navigate these choppy waters. We release you, we release you. Grateful to the guardians and gatekeepers in the south for the courage to do this really hard work. It's really hard. And you can only do it for you. You can't do it for your partner. Wish you could, but you set a good example. Your partner will follow. We release you. Thank you to the guardians and gatekeepers in the east. There's always time for new beginning. No matter how mad you are, no matter how bad your life has been, tomorrow's another day. You can experience a whole different life. You really can. We release you, East. And now I want you to imagine that the white beam of light that connects us all came to you in your right hand. So you're going to release it from your right hand. And just watch it unwind. Go counterclockwise, back, back, back. There's a tenderness, you know, to this moment. There's a tenderness. But this is where we're all the same. I'm no better than you. I'm no different than you. Maybe I have a few more tools. Maybe. It's a work in progress. And I fail all the time. And that's okay. I succeed all the time too. And you do too. And I like to turn my hand upside down and send the energy of this entire experience down into the very center of the earth. Let it hook on and connect there. Release it from your body. Don't hold the energy of the ritual. Let it go. My hand is like hot and vibrating. And that sounds really dirty, but that's not what I meant. Okay. If you like, I like to blow the breath of the energy onto my stones. So just sending that wish for myself and for you, for tenderness and kindness and love. I really wish that for you. I wish it for everybody. I especially wish it for the people who are who think they're beyond help. I especially wish it for them. Okay. And I'm going to extinguish my candle and my flame. Ooh, look at that. It's an interesting light. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to journal tonight. I haven't asked you to do that before, but I want you to journal tonight. I put some questions in the full moon group. If you're in the full moon group, you probably saw them. Did you see the questions? Like what's coming up? What are your challenges? Where are you feeling the stress and tension? When I talk to you about anger, what happens in you? Do you go, yeah, I feel it? Or do you go, I'm not angry? So what's that spectrum from, yeah, I'm really pissed off to I don't feel anything? I want you to journal into that and figure out where you are on that spectrum. And then I want you, here's a big question for you. You ready? If you could give that emotion a voice. Can you imagine? If you could give your anger or your sadness or your grief or your feelings of unworthiness or your anxiety. Some people in this room and in my community have anxiety that's so gripping that sometimes it's hard to live their lives. Do you know what I'm talking about? It runs in my family too. What if you could give that anxiety a voice? Let it write to you. What does that have to tell you? What if you could give the little girl a voice? What would she tell you? What if you could give that little boy a voice? What would he tell you? What does he want you to know? Maybe you need to give your older self a voice. What does that older self want you to avoid? Can you imagine if your older self could talk to you and say, I'm very sick, and I wish that you had? Can you imagine that? Just saying. Okay. Now we can talk about next month. You ready? Okay. I love that. Naomi says that I am loved. That's right. And you are loved. There is a universal love. Even if you think nobody loves you, that's not true. There is a universal love. I can say, I love you. You do. But you know, it's okay to let your heart be wide open like that. What's the price you pay to have a closed heart? I don't know. You have to ask yourself these questions. Okay. Next month, we're going somewhere else. You ready? Oh my God. I don't know if these sets are sold out. Are they sold out already? No? Okay. I think we have a few. They're almost sold out because of what we're doing next month. For the first time ever, we are going to connect with all of the dark goddesses. Okay. So we're going to start with the maiden of the trio, Lilith. Okay, and we're going to journey to be with Lilith. We're doing this because next month is Samhain, right? Next month is Halloween. This is Hecate's month, so we're going to journey to connect with Morrigan. If you don't know who I'm talking about, that's totally fine. Just get excited because it's real good. Okay, and then we're going to journey to be with Hecate for a minute. Don't be afraid of these goddesses. The Morrigan is actually my shadow goddess. When I'm in my shadow and doing my shadow work, she helps me. She shapeshifts into the crow. Do you know who the crow is? Crow is the messenger. Crow will tell you what you need to know. Don't be afraid of these goddesses. In the Western culture, we've sort of like, you know, when we're scared, what do we do in the West? We demonize. That's bad. Really? These are very powerful goddesses from pantheons that are older than time. Hecate is the cauldron keeper. Do you know what she does? She mixes everything. She's got everything in there. All the wisdom, all the information, all the guidance, all your past, present, future, everything's there. She's cauldron keeper. And there's a real grounding power to her. One of the things we're going to ask Hecate is, what's in her cauldron for you? What do you need to see? So there's lots coming ahead. There's a really cool perfume called Triple Goddess. Finally, because you've been asking me to make a Triple Goddess perfume forever. And then there is a beautiful stone set as well as your herbs. But usually there's one candle in the set. This month there's 3. So I think there's like 50, maybe 50 kits left. 40 kits left. Just to give you a heads up, I think we sold 110 kits today, and that's all there is. So if you want one, you should probably go get a kit. They're on sagegoddess.com, and that's the tools that we will use. So what we're going to do is light the Lilith candle, connect with Lilith, gather her wisdom, blow it out. We're going to light the Morrigan candle, connect with Morrigan, see what we need to, sculpt out of your shadow, blow it out, light the Hecate candle, and she's going to transition us into the month. Okay. Other things I want to tell you. If you're not in my insider group, you really should be, because I have gifts happening all weekend long. If you place an order today, I can't remember what the code word is, but you get a free piece of gorgeous natural citrine. And then there's 2 other surprises coming this whole weekend to celebrate Denver. I brought beautiful things home from Denver for you as gifts. On the 22nd, do you guys know about the drum journey? Okay. And there's still virtual seats available, right? This is what's really exciting. If you haven't ever participated in a shamanic drum journey, you have the opportunity to participate with one of the most powerful shaman I know. Elaine Algani is the real deal. She's doing a drum journey here in Los Angeles in this room. I love my calling of the directions. I really do. I think I do a very nice job. Elaine makes me look like a child. Okay. Your whole body will be covered in goosebumps and your heart will be racing. When she calls the directions, this entire room vibrates. And that's just the first 5 minutes of this thing. Okay. Please don't miss this. Please don't miss this. I don't know when Elaine will be back. And she's doing drum journey on fall equinox on Mabon. I had to beg her for this. So 9/22, you can join virtually or live in person, and it's just as good virtually. I did this once before, and everybody said it was just like being in the room. So don't miss that, okay? And then on the 30th, that is a fee, by the way, because I have to pay Elaine. I like to pay my teachers well, so there is a fee for that, okay? When I teach things, they're free. So on the 30th, we're doing a second moon ritual for the first time ever. Are you excited? Because there's 2 new moons in September. And then Rosh Hashanah, which is the Hebrew New Year, the Jewish New Year, is right after. I mean, it's this whole month of magic, right? 9/30 is the Black Moon. We're having a free, fun, online new moon ritual. We're setting intentions for 2017. So we're actually going to be writing them down together. It's the first time. Isn't that like fun? Mm-hmm. So you have to think about what seeds do you want to plant. By the way, this is no joke. The last time I did a ritual where we set intentions for the year ahead, everybody's intentions manifested. You should see what the letters that came in and everything, every single thing. So be very mindful when you set intentions, especially for a whole year. But really think about 2017. What do you want to create? 2016 is kind of putting a bow on it. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we go? Yes.
For drum journey,
yes.
Should we bring like what we brought for the sound bath, like the yoga?
Mm-hmm. Yes, if you're in person, and we'll talk more about this when I let them go. If you're in person, but even if you're virtual, you want to be very comfortable during a drum journey. Blankets, yoga mat, lots of water to drink, light candles around you, smudge before you begin. I take stones. I mean, you should see me. People in the room will see me. I create a whole altar around myself because you can charge stones with the journey. And if you haven't done a shamanic journey before, she takes you to the lower realm, which is down through the tree people and into the center of the earth. And she'll take you into caves and show you crystals. I mean, you're going to have a good time. People who are here in the room, we're going to have a little blue lotus tea to get us started. So that'll be fun. A little bit of a softening for us. Okay, any other questions online before I let you go? Yeah, I loved having you with me. Happy birthday. We have 2 birthdays in the room. We have 2 online. I love it so much. So happy birthday. Thank you, everybody who decided to share your birthday with me. I'm very touched by that. Much more to come in October. Stay tuned. But definitely consider the drum journey and also the Black Moon ritual on the 30th. I look forward to seeing you then. Be well, everybody. Take good care. Heal well.